This one's a little over 100 words. It's called Compliments from a Bachelor. He says that being with me is as good as being alone. My voice puts him right to sleep. When he leaves in the morning, he feels as relaxed as if he'd just left the laundromat. He enjoys my size. He doesn't have to worry about breaking me the way he sometimes does with smaller women. He advises against liposuction, but he's not sure about implants. As for cellulite, riding a dirt bike might help. I type faster than anyone he's ever known. He has not had a single cold since he met me. I make him sweat. He loves to watch me dress for work. It's great I have a job. He loves to watch me cook. I'm a cute drunk. And did I know my eyes are the same color as his, only his have more blue? I must have been a knockout 20 years ago. He touches my face, easing the worry lines back with his thumbs. I have to be careful, he says. I don't want to spoil you. This one's called The Lawn Fairy. For the first year after James died, Ruth woke every morning with a bright sense of expectation. Surely today something good would happen. She would hear from James. There would be a message hidden in the house or arriving in the mail or left on her cell phone, a message of love. James had died too quickly to tell her he loved her. An impatient man, he was gone by the time she got to the hospital, and in any event, he had never been effusive. He had never called her darling or princess or sweetheart. His birthday, anniversary, and Christmas gifts to her had always been practical. A piece of new kitchen equipment, a car. He ignored Valentine's Day. And yet, Ruth had always felt sheltered and treasured in the rough thrust of his outflung arm in sleep, had found connection in the way his eyes sought hers at a party he wanted to leave. When he leaned back in his leather chair in the evening, eyes closed, earphones on, listening to his Verdi or his Mozart, she knew he needed her there, sitting across the room, reading to complete his pleasure. She had been important to him. She could not stop thinking that she still was important to him, and that any day now he was going to let her know how much. The house they had lived in together for the last 30 years was in need of repair, and partly to please James, Ruth began to remodel. She had the roof fixed, replaced the rain gutters, hired a contractor to refinish the scuffed wooden floors. She painted the foyer a soft Tuscan gold, tore down the old drapes, and replaced them with Roman blinds that opened up to the garden. The garden, she saw with relief, was still doing well. She could take care of the shrubs and the roses she always had. But the lawn. James had mowed the lawn with a fervor reserved only for his weekly squash games. He had taken great pride in it, and it had always been immaculate. But now, Ruth bit her lip. He would be annoyed by the raggedy job she'd been doing, and the neighbor boy she had hired to take over had done no better. She would have to hire a professional. She phoned around and settled on a service that promised to cut the lawn for $40 whenever it needed. But she never saw the mower. She would come home from errands or a luncheon or a book club meeting, and the lawn would be fresh, green, and perfectly edged. There was never a bill. When she phoned the service to find out where she should send her check, she only got an answering machine. Not knowing how to pay, she began to slip 2 20s under the doormat when she left in the morning, and even if she returned an hour later, the money would be gone, and the lawn would be mowed. This went on until autumn, when the afternoon rain stopped and the air was dry and the grass seemed content to stay the same length, although it was browning and crisp underfoot. One night the doorbell rang. Ruth put down her book and peered out. A short, stout, dark-skinned man in a baseball cap stood on her porch. "Who are you?" she called through the door. "The mower," he answered. She opened the door and was met with a brilliant flash of gold teeth. The mower's smile was so warm she smiled back. "I wasn't sure you even existed," she confessed. "Existed?" he repeated, as if the word puzzled him. And then, without a break, he asked if she was married. Surprised, Ruth said, "No." "Divorced?" "No," she said again. "I'm widowed. My husband died." The mower's eyes filled with tears, and then he took his cap off and tipped his head up to the sky. Ruth followed his gaze to the stars. "You will dance again," he said softly. Struck by the poetry of his promise, Ruth said, "Oh, I hope so. Yes, I long to." And suddenly she knew she would dance again. She felt the mower take her hand. His touch was light and tender. "Saturday?" he asked. "Saturday night?" Ruth leapt back and slammed the door in his face. Her heart was pounding. The mower had asked her out. She paced the house, shaking as she double-locked every door and window. She spent a fitful night on her side of the marriage bed, dreaming about the lawn. In her dream, the grass was growing, getting taller and taller until it towered over the roses, and then it began to spread, carpeting the path, choking the bird bath, pressing against the windows of the house, threading its thick way up to the front door, blocking the door, trapping her. The dream was so real that for the first time since James' death, she awoke in terror and pain. She ran downstairs to peer out the front. No one was on the porch. The door opened effortlessly. The lawn lay in even stubble before her, short and brown. All was fine. She'd been a fool to worry. But how quiet it was. There wasn't a car on the street, a child on the sidewalk, a single bird in the leafless trees. The morning sky was white and bright and vacant above her. She closed her eyes to shut it out, and then it occurred to her James had sent the mower. He must have. Barefoot, Ruth stepped onto the lawn and began looking for something. A dropped bouquet, a box of drugstore chocolates, some sign, anything. Thank you.